Arthur's hands were a map of his life. Each line, a season. Each callus, a memory. For 40 years, those hands had known only one purpose: to serve the magnificent gardens of the Blackwood estate. He hadn't just worked the land, he had conversed with it. He knew the silent language of the roses, the stubborn pride of the ancient oaks, and the shy whisper of the violets that hid beneath the ferns. The garden was his symphony, and he, its patient conductor. He had arrived as a young man with a strong back and a quiet hope, and now as an old man with a gentle stoop, he was as much a part of the estate as the stone walls that bordered it. He knew that the climbing wisteria on the east wall preferred the morning sun, and that the bluebells near the pond bloomed only when the air held the perfect touch of spring humidity. This knowledge wasn't learned from books. It was earned through 14,600 days of devotion. The garden was his legacy, a living tapestry woven from soil, sunlight, and a lifetime of care. His mornings began not with an alarm clock, but with the first golden rays of sun filtering through his cottage window. He would walk the dew-kissed paths, his worn boots leaving soft prints on the ground. He'd greet the awakening blossoms, check for any signs of distress, a drooping leaf, a thirsty root, and feel the steady, reassuring pulse of life all around him. It was a peaceful, ordered world, a world where patience was rewarded and beauty grew from humble beginnings. Then one Tuesday, a different sound shattered the morning harmony. Not the chirping of a sparrow or the rustle of leaves, but the aggressive crunch of tires on the gravel driveway. A sleek black car, so polished it seemed to suck the light out of the air, came to a halt. A young man emerged. He was sharp edges and restless energy, dressed in a suit as dark as his car. His name was Kevin. Kevin didn't walk through the garden, he invaded it. His expensive shoes trampled a patch of daisies as he strode towards Arthur, his eyes not on the beauty around him, but on the glowing screen of his phone. "You the gardener?" he asked, his voice clipped and impatient. "I am," Arthur said, his tone as warm as the morning sun. "Arthur is the name. I've been the tender of this garden for 40 years. Kevin barely looked at him. His eyes scanned the sprawling, vibrant landscape with a look of disdain. To him, the garden's natural flowing beauty was chaos. The gentle overgrowth of the ivy, which Arthur had carefully cultivated, was just a mess. "It's overgrown," Kevin stated, not as an opinion, but as an indictment. "Messy. We need to clear all this out, streamline it, a minimalist aesthetic. Concrete planters, maybe some succulents, something clean, efficient." Arthur felt a cold knot form in his stomach. But this is an English garden. Its beauty is in its life, its freedom. These flowers, weeds, Kevin interrupted, gesturing vaguely at a stunning bed of prize-winning delphiniums. "Look, old man, I've just bought this estate. I'm a tech CEO. I don't have time for this." He waved his hand dismissively. "My company is about disruption, about moving fast and breaking things. This place is stuck in the past, just like its staff." He finally looked at Arthur, his gaze cold and appraising. He saw not a man, but an inefficiency, an old component that needed to be replaced. "We're making a clean break," Kevin said. "Your services will no longer be required. I'll have security escort you out. Time for new blood." The words struck Arthur with the force of a physical blow. 40 years, his entire life's work, his sanctuary, dismissed in 40 seconds. He looked at Kevin, at the young man's arrogant, unlined face, and saw a profound emptiness. He saw someone who could calculate the price of everything, but understood the value of nothing. Arthur didn't argue. What was there to say? How do you explain the soul of a garden to a man who has no soul himself? Silently, he was led away from the only home he had ever truly known. He took one last look back, at the kaleidoscope of colors, at the oaks standing like ancient sentinels, at the life he had nurtured from seed and soil. A single tear traced a path through the dirt on his cheek. He had been uprooted. Years passed. For Kevin, those years were a blur of frantic activity. He ripped out Arthur's garden, replacing it with a sterile landscape of gray stone and sparse, lonely-looking cacti. His company, Innovate, skyrocketed. He was the golden boy of the tech world, celebrated for his aggressive growth and ruthless efficiency. His life was a series of boardrooms, private jets, and fleeting headlines. He scaled his company at an impossible speed, burning through money and people with equal ferocity. But growth that fast is often hollow. His innovations were shallow, his market share built on hype. Eventually, the hype faded. Competitors with more substance began to overtake him. His company, once a towering skyscraper, was revealed to be a house of cards in a hurricane. Now it was on the verge of total collapse. Desperate, Kevin had one final long-shot chance, a meeting with a legendary, almost mythical investor known only as Mr. A. This investor was famously reclusive and eccentric, with a unique philosophy. He only invested in companies with the potential for true organic growth. It was Kevin's last hope. The address he was given wasn't a corporate office park. It was the city's newest, most prestigious skyscraper, the Verdant Tower. When Kevin stepped out of the elevator on the penthouse floor, he froze. He wasn't in an office. He was in a forest, a breathtaking garden suspended in the sky. Rare orchids cascaded down walls of living moss. A gentle stream gurgled over polished river stones. Trees with silvery leaves reached towards the glass ceiling, their branches framing a stunning view of the city below. The air was clean and smelled of damp earth and blooming jasmine. It was the most beautiful, vibrant, and alive place he had ever seen. In the center of this indoor Eden was a large minimalist desk made of reclaimed oak. A figure sat in a high-backed leather chair facing the window looking out over the city. "Mr. A?" Kevin asked, his voice trembling slightly, overwhelmed by the sheer beauty and power of the room. The chair slowly swiveled around. Kevin's blood ran cold. The man in the chair was older, his hair a distinguished silver. He wore an impeccably tailored suit the color of deep forest moss. But the face, the kind eyes that now held a look of profound wisdom and calm authority, and the hands resting on the oak desk, which, despite their clean, manicured state, still held the quiet strength of a man who knew the earth. It was Arthur. Kevin stood speechless, his mind unable to process the reality before him. The world seemed to tilt on its axis. Arthur smiled, a gentle, knowing smile that held no malice, only a deep, settled peace. "Hello, Kevin. It's been a while. Please, have a seat." Kevin stumbled into the chair opposite him, his mind reeling. "But how you were a gardener." "I still am," Arthur said, his voice calm and steady. "I am a gardener of many things now. After you let me go, I had nothing but my knowledge. So I started again. I found a small plot of land and began to cultivate rare and forgotten plants. I developed new sustainable horticultural techniques. My company, Organic Growth Solutions, doesn't just grow plants, Kevin. We grow ecosystems. We invest in things that last, things with deep roots." He gestured around the magnificent office. "This is what true growth looks like. It is patient, it is deliberate, it requires nurturing. It doesn't happen overnight, and it cannot be faked." Arthur leaned forward slightly, his gaze piercing. "I have read your company's portfolio. I've seen your growth. You tried to scale a sapling like a skyscraper, pulling it up so fast that you tore its roots from the ground. You were so focused on the appearance of success that you never bothered to build a foundation." He paused, letting the words sink in. "You came to my garden, my life's work, and you saw flowers and called them weeds. You looked at me, a man who had spent a lifetime creating life, and you saw only an obstacle. You don't know the difference between something that is old and something that is timeless." Kevin could only stare, the full weight of his failure crashing down upon him. He saw it all now, his arrogance, his blindness, his hollow success. "Please," Kevin whispered, his voice cracking. "I was a fool, I see that now. Please, my company, and it's all I have left. I need your help." Arthur looked at Kevin, not with anger, but with a quiet pity. "My company is called Organic Growth Solutions because I invest in things that are authentic and have the capacity for real, sustainable life," Arthur said, his voice soft but final. "Your company, Kevin, is not organic. It was built on a lie. It is a weed, and you cannot expect a gardener to invest in a weed." He stood up and walked to a magnificent Japanese maple tree growing near the window. He gently touched one of its crimson leaves. The lesson is this, Arthur said, his back to Kevin. If you want to build something that lasts, you must have the patience to let it grow properly, and you must have the wisdom to recognize the value in things and people that don't shout for your attention. He turned back. The meeting is over. I wish you well in finding your own roots. Defeated and utterly humbled, Kevin walked out of the garden in the sky, the elevator doors closing with a soft, final hiss. He was leaving the world of real growth and descending back into his artificial, crumbling empire. Arthur remained by the tree, looking out not at the city of concrete and steel, but at the boundless sky above. He was still just a gardener, after all, and he had a world to tend to.